What's up, zoners? Welcome to the earliest waiver wire show on the internet. Today is our week 4 edition. I'm going to go over everybody that I think that you should pick up and put on your team and how much that you should spend on them. Also, there is a running back on here that has a big opportunity with an injury that just happened today in front of him. If that sounds interesting to you, hold on for 7 seconds.
You can do it!
What's up, zoners? This is Tyler, Big Turd Ward, and Banjo, the dog, coming at you live from my garage. And this is the Fantasy Red Zone. Today's episode. So like I said in the intro, this is our week 4 waiver wire ad show. I have all this typed out in my notes, so here you go. First up, we're starting with running backs. Jaleel McLaughlin, I never heard of him before today. $15 I would spend on him. He's an undrafted rookie, so drafted by Sean Payton. That is good. Javonte is out. He exited with a hip injury after the second offensive drive in the first quarter. He's coming off a major injury last year, and now he has a lower body injury again. So McLaughlin actually had 13 snaps last week with 5 rushes for 15 yards. So he didn't come out of nowhere. He had 7 rushes for 72 yards this game with 3 receptions for 32 yards and a touchdown. That is huge. P. Ryan only went 6 for 12 and had 2 receptions on 2 targets. The Broncos host the Jets next week. They allow the 14th most points to running backs at 18.4. The Broncos host the Jets next week, and they allow the 14th most points to running backs at 18.4. If Javonte Williams is out for an extended period of time, I think that this price, $15, will go up. And I would start McLaughlin next week if Javonte ends up being out. Next up, Tyjae Spears. We've been talking about him for a while. I would spend $5 on Tyjae Spears. You know, it all started when he outsnapped King Henry in week 1. He is a third-round rookie. He has 4 targets in 3 of 4 games this year. That is more than you can say about Derrick Henry. So he is the pass-catching running back in this offense. He is averaging 6.1 yards per carry on the year, dude. That is third in the league. He is super efficient when he runs the ball. He was 5 for 40 today and 3 receptions on 4 targets for 18 yards. That's not much, but still, he is involved even when Derrick Henry is dominating the game. And that used to never be that way. It used to be just Derrick Henry, and that is it. Now we're seeing more of a snap split, more of a usage split. And hey, Derrick Henry still might get traded. Tannehill might get traded. I know they won this game today, and that was a big deal. But hey, man, if they continue to lose, Tyjae Spears would be a running back 1 in this offense without Derrick Henry. And again, even if Henry goes down, a running back 1 here, he is one of the top handcuffs in the league. The Titans are at Indianapolis next week, and they allow the 21st most points to running backs at 15.1. That is not a great matchup, but still, we'll look for Tyjae Spears not to be in your starting lineup, to just be on your bench waiting to take over your league. Next up, Chuba Hubbard. I spent $3 on Chuba Hubbard. He had 12 rushing attempts and 10 targets going into this game. He ended up with 14 for 41 yards and 2 receptions for 12 yards. He had 16 touches, the same as Miles Sanders. Dude, Sanders has been struggling through an injury. It's a groin injury, and I don't know if it's been happening all year. It really, hit him hard this last week, but still, he's looked the same. He's been inefficient pretty much all year. He had 9 targets last week or something. That's what kind of made his last week look better. But Chuba Hubbard could end up taking this job or at least be maybe a 50-50 timeshare here in an offense that is hopefully only going to get better as the year goes on. I know this is bad, but dude, running backs are thin. They are at Detroit next week, and they allow the 16th most points to running backs at 16.5. Next up, my secret stash of the week, Keaton Mitchell. I'd spend $1 on Keaton Mitchell. Go pause this video right now. Check out the YouTube highlights, all preseason snaps of Keaton Mitchell for the Baltimore Ravens. He is a running back. And I think it's like, you're like, whatever. He's small, he gets tackled easy. Then like the 5th play, dude, he takes off. He is so fast. And he's so much different than, Justice Hill and Gus Edwards. He actually beat out Melvin Gordon in the preseason, and now we see Melvin Gordon getting snaps as we speak. So Keaton Mitchell is going to be coming off of IR here in a minute, people. He's an undrafted rookie this year. And yeah, he is going to be behind Hill and Gus, but man, the talent is there. Gus Edwards, I know he used to be a good runner, but just watching him now, man, it's just like, it's not there. Same, and I do like Justice Hill, but for some reason, this coaching staff has never really given him the load. So I am interested in Keaton Mitchell. He is free right now. Put him on your IR. They are at Pittsburgh next week. They allow the 5th most points to running backs at 24.2. So we need to see if he's going to get activated off of IR and such. But hey, if you ain't Keaton, You ain't trying. Next up, Latavius Murray. He has been a repeat offender on this. He was even on my preseason waiver wire thing, I think. I would spend $1 on him. He has a touchdown in 2 of 4 games this year. What have I been saying about him? I've been saying that he is a coin flip for a touchdown on any given week. And that's 2 for 4. That's 50% right there. Led Buffalo in yards, going 4 for 32 this last week against Miami. Harris did get 5 carries, but that was all garbage time. So he is the goal line back in this offense. And yeah, I do like James Cook, man, but they do not like to use him at the goal line. Actually, I need to check to see if he got a touchdown today, but still, I'm sick, people. I am sick. I'm trying to get through this. I researched the shit of all this all day today. Give me a break, please. They do host Jacksonville next week, and they allow the 27th most points to running backs at 12.7. So that is a bad matchup. But again, he is not like reliant on yards and usage. We just want touchdowns with him. Another coin flip. He could be a running back for your team. Next up, Adam Schefter's baby last year, Ronnie Rivers. I would spend $1 on Ronnie Rivers. I actually started him a game where Adam Schefter was like, "Oh, Ronnie Rivers is they love him. They love him. They're going to start him this week." And yeah, I think he went out and averaged like 3.5 yards a carry. Didn't do much. And I was pretty pissed off at Adam Schefter, but hey, he was right. He did get the usage. But a running back on the Rams last year was not worth much. A running back on the Rams this year is fucking top 5, dude. So let's spend up sometimes to get these people. Ronnie Rivers, undrafted rookie last year. He has 0 rushing attempts heading into this game. And then they kept on saying, hey, they brought up Royce Freeman. I was like, oh shit. I actually picked up Royce Freeman for a minute. Royce Freeman was not involved in this game whatsoever. It was Ronnie Rivers. He went 9 for 47 and had 2 receptions for 10 yards. He had 11 touches to Kyren's 28. So yeah, he's conceding a lot of touches to Kyren. But dude, they're giving Kyren so much. Like if he went down or something, again, Ronnie Rivers would be super valuable. They do host Philadelphia next week, and they are the #1 toughest defense versus the run this year at 10.1. So it's going to be a bad matchup. It's not like you're picking up Ronnie Rivers to start next week. You are holding him. All right, guys, on to wide receivers. I'm looking at Devin Tompkins for $5. Evans is out with a hamstring. And if I know anything about hamstrings this year, that shit might linger, man. Linger. I mean, like for 4 weeks type of linger. So Devin Tompkins had 4 targets last week. This week, he caught all 4 of his targets for 45 yards and a touchdown. Now, Godwin did go off, but I do think that Devin Tompkins might be able to fill in for a wide receiver 3 for you. I would spend $5 on him. He did have a rush for 11 yards, man. He was undrafted last year. So he is a second-year wide receiver. We like that, right? Problem, he is on bye next week. But I do want to say, man, like I want to see how serious his hamstring injury is. So I probably should put that down to like $1 because of the bye. But still, Baker Mayfield and what Mike Evans does in this offense is super valuable. I know that Godwin got peppered with targets, but after a full week of practice, might be able to see this wide receiver, Devin Tompkins, filling out that Mike Evans role, which is super valuable. Next up, Tyler Boyd. I'd spend $5 on Tyler Boyd. T. Higgins out with ribs. So who knows how serious this is going to be. And hey, man, Tyler Boyd has been getting targets anyways. He had 17 targets in the 2 games leading up to this week. So he has less targets this week than his previous 2 with Higgins in. Burrow's rookie year, dude, Tyler Boyd was like a top 15 wide receiver. He might enter that territory again without Higgins. So for a couple weeks, maybe a month, dude, ribs are serious. He was second on the team in targets this week. Turned into 4 receptions for 26 yards. That's not much, but that was a very bad game for Burrow. I know Burrow is still injured. But hey, man, they have got to snap out of it sometime. They are at Arizona next week, and they give up the 23rd most points to wide receivers at 25.6, so that is not a great matchup. Next up, do you guys remember Terrace Marshall Jr. from like 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago? I do. $5 I would spend on him. So we did have Mingo out, but everything I've been getting about Mingo has not been good. They've been targeting him a lot, has not meant anything. Well, guess what, dude? Marshall caught 9 of his 10 targets for 56 yards. That led the team in targets. He had 8 targets last game, and that was with Mingo in. He is a 3rd-round draft pick from 3 years ago. He has the talent. And, rookie wide receivers, we're looking for that 2-3 breakout season for wide receivers. He is in that window. He is at Detroit next week. They give up the 6th most points to fantasy wide receivers at 36.3. I think that if Mingo is out again, Terrace Marshall Jr. might be able to be a flex option for you. Next up, Rashid Shaheed, we had him on here a couple weeks. He disappeared last week. I would spend $1 on him. Averaged 4 targets per game coming in with 2 games over 60 yards, and he caught a touchdown in week 1. He had 3 receptions on 7 targets for 33 yards this week. 7 targets led wide receivers. Olave disappeared. So this is what I was kind of afraid of. I thought that Michael Thomas was going to get peppered with all the targets. I thought that they would bring Olave in, but they did not. Rashid Shaheed was the benefactor of the Derek Carr injury, surprisingly enough. Who knows when Derek Carr is going to be completely healthy again? So this might be a trend that we're looking at for a while. So Rashid Shaheed is worth a pickup. Carr only threw for 127 yards, dude. They are at New England next week, and they give up the 24th most points to wide receivers at 24.8. But from what I can see right now, they're getting their ass kicked, so that number probably will go up. Next up, my secret start of the week from a couple weeks ago. Then he went off last week, just a week too late, Calvin Austin. I'd spend $1 on Calvin Austin. He averaged 5 targets a game this year, right? 2 receptions on 6 targets for 72 yards and a touchdown last week. That's what we were looking for, hopefully this week. Dude, 3 receptions on 5 targets for 24 yards today. That was shitty as far as, fantasy points. But still, second most targets for a wide receiver behind Pickens with 7. He is a second-year wide receiver, 4th-round pick. He is the best wide receiver that Sauce Gardner has ever faced. Dude, if Kenny Pickett was better, this guy could be good. But Kenny Pickett is out with a knee injury now. I don't even know who their backup is. Oh, God, Mitch Trubisky. Hey, dude, Mitch Trubisky might be an upgrade right now, dude, because Kenny Pickett has regressed. This offensive line is not what we thought it was. And this guy works all the underneath routes. Dude, Muth is out with a hammy. Speaking of underneath routes, maybe Calvin Austin will take over a larger role. They do host Baltimore next week, and they give up the 9th most points to fantasy wide receivers at 34.2. That's a juicy matchup. I am shooting this very early. It is halftime of the 1 o'clock games, the afternoon games, which there are 3 of. So, I just wrote down Darius Davis. That is the next guy on the list. He's a 4th-round rookie, and he was on the Chargers, a wide receiver. So I was like, holy shit, dude, I better write this full down. And then I saw Quentin Johnson getting involved, Joshua Palmer. But if you guys see of anybody that I am not mentioning, please comment down below. Because this is a group effort, man. We all need to know. We all see different things. If we could just collect our knowledge and, pick up our waivers off of that, that'll help everybody. Also, if I see people in these later games, Sunday night, Monday night games that you should pick up, I will comment below, so look for that. All right, guys, tight ends. This was my secret start of the week, Logan Thomas. He did not do what I wanted him to do, but still, I think that you should pick him up. I'd spend $1 on him. He led the team in targets in week 1 with 8. He got concussed catching a touchdown in week 2. So he had 2 great weeks, right? Then he only had, then he didn't play last week. Then he only had 3 receptions on 3 targets for 41 yards today. And that was with Sam Howell throwing like 41 times, dude. So that is discouraging, but I still think that Logan Thomas will be a top 10 tight end moving forward. And dude, you could do so much worse on the waiver wire. They do host Chicago next Thursday, short week. The Chicago Bears give up the 10th most fantasy points to tight ends at 10.5. I think that is a plus matchup. I bet you Logan Thomas scores a touchdown. All right, guys, another tight end, a mystery tight end that I did not understand until today. I spent $1 on Jonnu Smith. It was just released that Kyle Pitts is still playing hurt from last year's ankle injury. So that is why we're seeing Jonnu Smith getting all the fucking targets, dude. It's like, hey, man, could you please let us know this shit before we get into the season, man? Anyways, through 4 games, right? Pitts has 21 targets, 11 receptions, 121 yards. Jonnu Smith, 1 less target, 4 more receptions, and over 50 more yards, 58 more yards. So, dude, Jonnu Smith, way more productive, and apparently it's going to stay that way for a while. Fuck that team, dude. Oh, my God. Anyways, they host Houston next week. They give up the 11th most points to tight ends at 10.2, so that is a plus matchup. All right, guys, moving on to quarterbacks. Jason's dad dropped C.J. Stroud this morning. He is still available. I think he's only taken in 35% of leagues. Dude, I would spend $15 or more. Dude, if you need a quarterback, spend up on this dude, man. Over 300 yards in 2 of 4 games this year. 2 passing touchdowns in each of his last 3 games, right? I mean, come on, dude. His floor is getting ridiculous. Weapons to throw to, Collins, Dell, Schultz. He's got the weapons. The defense, I thought, was giving up a lot of points, but we need to check into that shit. They are at Atlanta next week. They give up the 21st most points to quarterbacks at 16.3. So that is an average matchup, but still, dude, CJ Stroud, could win some people some championships this year. Last thing, man. Again, I just said it. Texans D, dude. They held Jacksonville to 17. They scored 15 points versus them last week. They're killing Pittsburgh this week. I meant to check out and see what happened. They are at Atlanta next week. D'Amico Ryans might be turning this around as we speak. I think this might be a defense that you need to pay attention to heading into the future. All right, everybody, that is the show. Thank you so much for watching. I do apologize for sounding all nasally and maybe coughing. I can't remember, but I am sick. Hopefully I'm getting over it for tomorrow's show. Hopefully I earned a thumbs up. Hopefully I earned a subscription if you're not already subscribed. Please, we need it. We need it. Hey, and this is Tyler, Big Turd Ward, and I appreciate you.